If you are a fellow Brit and have no idea what this US election is all about, or if you're not interested in politics and you have no idea what this election is about, or you just have no clue about US elections in general, here is my quick guide to US elections. A year or two before this day, this election day, you have a phase. It's not a real technical term for this, it's just a testing the waters phase. It's where people who might be interested in what will do certain things to help their cause. They might write a book, they might go on TV and talk about the election in around 1 or 2 years' time. So you kind of have a feel of what kind of person will be going for the presidency. So now we move on to a phase called the invisible primary. Now this is a technical term, and this is when candidates from each party will put themselves forward as to be the main candidate for that party. Now the Democrats this year already have a sitting president, Barack Obama, so he was going to be their candidate for all intents and purposes. But the Republicans needed a candidate, so they have primaries. Now before the primaries, you have the invisible primary, and it's just a very long process. And what this is, it is when all the candidates will put themselves forward to be the candidate for that party, if that makes sense. Now this year for the Republicans, we had around 8 main candidates, I will put it that way, and these were Mitt Romney, who eventually did become the candidate for the Republicans, Ron Paul, Newt Gingrich, Rick Santorum, Perry, Michelle Bachmann, Herman Cain. The invisible primary is also called the money primary because this is where fundraising starts, and fundraising is quite possibly one of the main aspects of US politics. You cannot get anywhere without proper funding. Then we get on to the actual primaries. In America, you have these things called primaries and caucuses, and this is the means by which you elect a candidate. A primary is a state-based election which apportions delegates to a candidate, and then a caucus is a state-based series of meetings which apportion delegates to a candidate. Okay, I think I got that right because that was just from my memory, but the main difference between a primary and a caucus is a primary, you go and you vote. You physically get in a booth and you vote for your candidate. Caucus, by definition, it's much more interactive and normally happens in more rural areas in America. It's not a formal vote. It's where you go and you talk and you try to get people on your team. But anyway, in there you get delegates. The candidate with the most delegates gets the vote. Gets the candidacy, if that's the right word for this. So these primaries and caucuses happen all throughout America until a candidate reaches the amount of delegates needed. So once they reach that threshold, the primaries and caucuses are not needed anymore. Therefore, it kind of makes some states redundant. But okay, Mitt Romney was the man. He got the candidacy for the Republican Party. The next major thing to happen is the National Party Convention. There are formal functions that this does, and there are also informal functions that the National Party Convention holds. The traditional and the formal functions of the National Party Convention. The first formal function is to select the candidate. All the delegates are there and they officially select the candidate. The second formal function is to select the vice presidential candidate, and the third formal function is to lay down the party platform. These have become somewhat redundant. So once you've lived through the invisible primary, the primaries, the caucuses, the National Party Convention, figuring out who the hell is the vice president going to be, it's finally time to vote. Election day will always be the first Tuesday after the first Monday of November, and that is today. So today is voting day. The popular vote happens. You go to your ballot and you vote for who you want. There are 2 steps in electing the president. You have the popular vote and then you have the electoral college. Put simply, the electoral college is each state has a number of electoral college votes based on proportion and a few other things. But each state has a different number. For example, the minimum you can have as a state is 3 electoral college votes. The largest state, California, well, the largest population, has 55 electoral college votes. Now, it is the electoral college that actually elects the president. That is how the president is officially elected. In the US, like I'm sure every country, in the UK, we have these things called safe seats. In the US, they're called stronghold states. Now, pretend this right here is the US. This is the West Coast and this is the East Coast. Mainly, the Northeast is usually a Democrat stronghold, as well as the West Coast. And the middle, Midwest, and the South, typically, Republican safe seats, strongholds. And then you'll have these things called battleground states, and that's where the candidates will spend most of their time campaigning, because they want to win these states, as well as the states with the most electoral college votes. I know I'm skipping a lot of important things out. I just want this to be as simple as possible. The popular vote does not elect the president, it is the electoral college, and these people called electors. The candidate with the most electoral college votes win. There we go. Electoral college vote really mimics the popular vote most of the time. The electoral college is for some reason deadlocked, and it will never be. The last time it was deadlocked, was it Andrew Jackson? Martin Van Buren. In the 1800s somewhere, that was the last time it didn't work. And if that should ever happen, which it won't, the Senate will vote for their vice president, and the House of Representatives will vote for the president. There we go. And today, right now, people of America voting for the next president. I hope that was okay. I hope you've learned something. If you want to ask me a question, feel free. I'll try my best to answer it.